Hey, what is up, everyone? It's Rich. All right, welcome to the next installment of this Batman Black and White series. So, this was a request. I've been encouraging people to look at the four different volumes of these Batman Black and White collections that DC did. There's probably 100 different artists who contributed to these books. And honestly, it's pretty insane. We've only been going through volume one, and there's still so much good stuff in this collection. This is four kind of oversized comics worth of stuff in this hardcover. But today we're going to look at Bruce Timm, and then as always, I've got a pin-up or a cover that I wanted to share at the end. And so settle in. This story is great. I just read it. The art is killer, but man, it's a really good story. So anyway, we will read Bruce's bio really quick. So Bruce Timm, the driving force behind the widely successful Batman the animated series. Bruce Timm both designed the unique look of the show and acted as one of the show's producers. For his considerable efforts, Bruce won an Emmy for Outstanding Animated Program. Bruce Timm has worked in the animation business for most of his professional career, and his small body of comics work is equally respected and valued. In 1995, Bruce and writer Paul Dini won the coveted Eisner and Harvey Awards for Best Single Issue with their comic book tour de force, The Batman Adventures Mad Love, the only superhero comic ever to win both awards. So congratulations to them on that. And all right, let's do it. So, opening page, we have a shot of a newspaper, and Dr. Marilyn Crane returns from triumphant trip to Geneva Medical Conference. And the caption is, she was the pride of Gotham City. So she's basically a psychotherapist and also a plastic surgeon, and she's able to work miracles. And her innovative state of the art techniques combined with da 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 makes her just totally awesome. So, anyway, she goes to Arkham Asylum and works her wonders on Harvey Dent. Not only does she help him psychologically, but she also helps him physically. She makes him handsome again, and they fall in love. But Harvey is basically narrating this first part, but he basically says, if I'd known then how it would all turn out, I would have never let her fall in love with me. And so at this point, they're still in the hospital at Arkham Asylum, and the title of this is Two of a Kind, and it's written by Bruce Timm, and it's drawn by Bruce Timm. And he has real nice comic book pages. He doesn't pick extremely insane shots with his stuff, but it's very clear and it reads well. And he's a damn good writer. I really thought that this story was quite good. So yeah, as it continues, the tabloids had a field day with their story, Psycho Insurgent and Arkham Love Nest, and eventually they discover that Harvey's good to go, and they release him. So he sneaks out the back of Arkham Asylum, and the lighting that he chose here creates like a little bit of mystery and a little bit of like a sneaky quality to it. And here we have Marilyn and Harvey exiting the back door of the hospital to avoid the media flurry. And look who pulls up. It's Bruce Wayne. Thanks for everything, Bruce. You stay out of trouble now, pal. I'll be keeping an eye on you. And I wondered if that was a reference to the Two-Face thing. Like, instead of he's be keeping his eyes on him, his eye, one eye. Because Two-Face is only half bad, right? Good old Bruce. And then we've got a shot of them, out on the town, and Batman's, he's just keeping a watchful eye on this guy. He knows the score. It's hard for these people to completely change. So not surprisingly, Harvey isn't able to get his old job back, but he gets a job at a small law firm and is basically keeping a pretty legit life. And they get engaged to be married, and they buy a wedding ring. You can see here Harvey still has a little bit of a suggestion of scars on his face, but he looks quite handsome, and he's actually happy for once, and she's happy. And all of a sudden we get this, why, dear, or Marilyn, dear, where have you been hiding, this gorgeous hunk of a man? And it's her twin sister, Madeline. This is not going to go well. Harvey, this is my sister. We have to go. Of course you do, darling. Bye, Harvey. See you soon. So anyway, essentially Marilyn was very concerned about telling Harvey about the twin sister because of his two faces, we'll say, his obsession with duality. And Madeline seems like she's had a bit of a troubled past. She's been in and out of institutions her whole life. And in fact, she tried to murder Marilyn when they were little kids on her, I think it was her 11th birthday. She broke a mirror and put glass in her milk. So Madeline is quite a piece of work, apparently. And she's basically very, very concerned how this is going to affect Harvey. And Harvey doesn't seem like he's taking it well. Just having to confront this idea, I think, looking at his face, he's not too happy. So anyway, they continue on with their life, and one night Harvey's working late at the office, and oh, look who shows up, Marilyn. And Marilyn starts to undress and crawls up on the desk in lingerie, and she wants to get some rock and roll going, and give us a kiss. He's like, very funny, Madeline. Go play your sick games somewhere else, tramp. Sexy lady. But anyway, Harvey's on to her game. Although they're twins, he knows something's up. Marilyn would never do this, but Madeline would. Team Madeline. No, just kidding. I'll bet little Miss Goody Two Shoes doesn't kiss you like that. Look at him, he's sweating. He's like, you might be right. Shut your mouth, you little tramp. Anyway, so you're hurting me. It's okay, baby. I like it rough. This chick is on fire. And anyway, they kiss, and then they actually seem to go further. We'll leave that to the silhouette's imagination. Anyway, so Harvey basically keeps it on the DL and is going to try to go through with marrying Marilyn. And he says, like, he couldn't help thinking how wonderful her sister would be in bed later that night, and realized there was only one thing to do. So he basically is like, it's over. If you tried to tell Marilyn about us, I'll deny it ever happened. So he goes to Madeline and basically breaks up with her and is like, look, this can't go on. This is just too crazy. And Madeline doesn't take it well. She basically is like, that little bitch has been, taking what's mine my whole life, and not this time. So anyway, oh, and remember, there are spoilers in these, so I always recommend if you want to read it before you watch the video. It's a little late, but I think people get it by now. I'll see her in hell first. And anyway, so Harvey goes back to his place and he's chilling, but he's been trying to contact Marilyn throughout the evening. Is only getting a busy signal, and he's trying to keep it cool, and he's like, don't get paranoid, just, I'm sure everything's fine. And he keeps calling, and finally he decides that he needs to go to her apartment, so he drives over. It's a beautiful shot, actually. Really, really nice drawing here. And he runs up the stairs, taking 3 at a time, he says, but he already suspects, and it's happened. It's too late. Madeline has murdered her sister and wrote in her blood on the wall. Now it's just the two of us. So apparently Madeline is even more of a handful than we first imagined. These stories get quite dark, but that's how Batman's world is, and that's why he's so dark. So anyway, Harvey staggers around his apartment, and all he wants is vengeance. But he was cured, and he's struggling with his new identity, and that he's fine now. But Harvey couldn't do this, but fortunately he knows someone that could. So he reaches into the fireplace, grabs fire, and basically burns the side of his face that's Two-Face, and basically is resurrecting Two-Face. And so he's on like a pier, I don't know, just thinking about what's going on or whatever, and Madeline shows up. And I had to do it, she didn't love you, not the real you. So Madeline basically is confiding into Harvey that she understands the dark side of him, and she loves both sides, and Madeline only wanted Harvey cured and didn't want to embrace Two-Face. And anyway, so he shows her his face, and she says that she still loves him and wants to be with him. And he's basically saying, like, how could I destroy someone that's so perfect, and is like me. And and then he says, so much like Marilyn. He's kind of thinking back to Marilyn. And then he actually shoots Madeline and kills her. And then he basically says, then I just waited for you to show up, as you always do, to take me back where I belong, with the rest of the crazy people. So that's the end of the story. It's a good one. I think it's a really, really tight story. I mean, every beat, every panel seemed to move it forward. It was really, really excellently done. And I think that between the art and the actual story, it's probably one of the more seamless ones that we've done so far. I'm not saying it's my favorite, but it definitely really propelled me through the story. It was a good story, and we had no Batman in it. So anyway, and then the pinup that we're going to look at today is the Toth one, Toth cover. So this is an interesting piece. This is the cover, I think, for the 4th issue. We'll take it in really quick first. So he really just outlined stuff with very, very simple shapes, but he chose a position of Batman's body where you can actually read quite clearly in the sort of, I don't know, like 30% gray, the pose that his body's in, the boots, because of the position of the body, you're able to see both of the boots. The bottom of the boots is very cool. He's got a little tiny hint of like a white, or probably like a 20% gray or 15% gray, that gives that little sort of delineation of the sole of the shoe and then the boot itself. The belt is a lighter shade of gray. And one thing I could recommend, and if you've messed around digitally before, one real fascinating thing that you can do with people that do value type work is kick it into Photoshop and then take the color picker sampler and actually see what level of gray that they're doing. Because the way that your eye reads value is it's relative. If you have a very, very dark gray here instead of black, and then a light gray here, or a black and then a light gray, sometimes it can read white. He uses, I don't know, maybe 5 shades of gray on this, but it's an interesting little thing that you can do, and you can actually see what the real color of gray is. Sometimes you would be surprised at how light or dark a gray is, and it's more that the relationship of the value to the thing next to it makes it look lighter or darker than it is. It's a pretty cool little thing. So, all right, that's it. Hopefully that was fun to check out, and have a great day, and I will talk to you all later. Bye.